Hello, and welcome again to All Around Town. My name is Roger Wilson, and I'm the Director of Government Affairs and Public Policy. Today's guest is the Burgess from Middletown, John Miller. Good to see you again, John.
Thank you, Roger. Good to be here.
So tell us all the exciting things that are going on in Middletown.
Oh, my. Well, we have a lot going on.
Okay.
My staff just informed me the other day we have a lot going on.
Okay.
So I suspect they want to kind of slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the things are sort of out of our control.
Mm-hmm.
We have a streetscape project that's going on right now, and it's at a slow pace right now. It's a $12 million project through State Highway. Mm-hmm. Embedded in the $12 million is our replacement of our 100-year-old water line. That's about $2.8 million of the 12. Mm-hmm. So State Highway is going to manage the construction of that. We'll do the inspection and make sure it meets the town standards. But that's a significant portion of that project. And so that's going to disrupt traffic flow. It's going to disrupt time that you're allowing to get from one place to another as you're coming through town. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a significant project, however. And so, there's going to be a little bit of change brought about from that, but a lot of progress.
Mm-hmm. And that's a 2-year project?
It is a 2-year project. I think the ending date is November 2018.
Right.
And so it will go from end to end on Route 40 and Main Street. But it's only going in phases or sections at a time, and very, very few times, if at all, will the whole street ever be closed down.
Mm-hmm. And what was the genesis of this streetscape project? How did it come about?
Well, that's been a long time coming. We've been with State Highway in discussions and design, and we had design on the project for over 10 years. The economic turndown of 2008 really put a halt to the project and kind of shelved it for a couple of years. And it was about 2 years ago that we finally got it back going, maybe even 3 years ago. And so it's really moved forward quickly, and funding and construction happening. So we're pleased about that. And it's really, the streetscape program is part of economic development and also housing development, right, community development through the state. So it's a multi-agency program, really coordinated by State Highway.
State Highway.
And so it really is reconstruction of the road, some storm drain, curb, gutter, new sidewalk that's 5 foot instead of 4, all the way through town. Wow. Replacing everything that's there. And so it's a pretty significant project, as well as some of the other bells and whistles that go along with streetscape, new light poles, banner poles, and things in our downtown area that certainly will forecast, I think, some economic development for us.
So over the next 2 years, it's a phased project? So
it is.
What's the initial phase? What does that entail?
Well, the initial phase, actually, a lot of people have seen the construction barrels and things along the roadside.
So it's happening now.
That's storm drain.
Okay.
Once the weather breaks and we get into some warmer weather, then they'll begin actually work on the road and water line replacement.
Okay.
So probably, I would say, by mid-March and 1st of April, we'll be going into phases and shutting down the road, half of the lane of road in one phase at a time.
Okay. All right. And you have information on your website where people can learn more about what's going on, and they'll be alerted to, the different activities that are going on with the project.
I think our staff has done a fantastic job of really notifying people and residents, especially those along Route 40, of what's happening, what you can expect. We've given them a map. We've shown them the phases when it's going to occur, so you can see when it will be kind of in front of your house. Okay. We've done that, and the website is loaded with that kind of information. Our Main Street program has done a great job putting together a survival guide, so to speak, for businesses, so they can stay open, vibrant during the construction phase. And I don't presume that the downtown will really receive a lot of disturbance until maybe late fall, early spring of next year. And so I think the downtown area will make it through that.
Now you have another construction project on West Green Street.
We do.
Could you tell us a little more about that?
Sure, that one's almost completed. And that was a town project. We did that. It was a $2 million project. And Green Street was a street that was just basically an extension of a farm lane from, many years ago that now became a blacktop road.
Right.
And so what we've done is make it more pedestrian friendly. We put sidewalk there, curb and gutter. And we put some bump outs on it to slow down traffic, as well as some other parking on there, designated parking, to facilitate movement down into Main Street. And then also that street will have streetlights for the first time ever. And never had streetlights on that street. So some significant steps there to public safety for that road.
Okay. And so that was a $2 million?
That was a $2 million project, and we funded that ourselves. Versus State Highway, which was a $12 million project, and we said, yes, thank you.
Sure, I can understand that.
Yeah.
So there's a big celebration I'm hearing about?
Oh, yeah, we have our 250th anniversary, 1767, the founding of Middletown, so we're celebrating that. And our committee has done a great job. John Gladhill and Becky Reich, our Main Street manager, are co-chairs of that committee, and we have a very active group of people who have planned some really fantastic things. We have a segment called Town Talks. Each month we're doing something that's featuring some aspect of the town. In January we were at the town hall. We talked about the town government. We did a little scavenger hunt within the building.
Oh, wow.
In February we talked about Jefferson Street, and which was home to the large African American population in our town. And so we had a nice little history lesson on that.
Sure.
That was very well attended. Over 70 some people in one of our oldest buildings in town, what is known as the Peter Schaefer House. Next month, just to give you an idea, the first 3 months, we have a concert from a Carnegie Hall pianist who grew up in Middletown. And so he's coming back to play, and then we'll have some local artwork. And the Bill Moran Knife Museum is going to be featured there as well.
Now, you're a big history buff, correct?
I was a history teacher, yes.
That's right,
yes.
all right.
Yeah.
So are you kind of facilitating some of these discussions?
We have brought in some people to help do that. I help a little bit in some of the things that I can remember, and that's really what it's doing, is causing people to really think and reflect on their experiences in Middletown. We have another event called the Founding Families Dinners, and what we're doing is we're bringing in the names you think of when you think of Middletown and those families, and we're having them come in, and then we have discussions about things in Middletown, reflections of their childhood, memories that they have. We're videotaping that, archiving that, and using it in a museum that we're going to create in our town hall, reflecting Middletown history. So that's another thing we're doing with the 250th is that.
And how are you collecting archives and all those great things that belong to the history of Middletown?
Well, it's interesting. First of all, we started with our Commissioner Larry Buzzard, who is the town historian basically. He has so many Middletown artifacts in his house. I don't know how he has room to walk around, but all the things that he brings out, he stores there, and it's a tremendous volume of important archives. Matter of fact, the other day he was showing me an artifact that he found that he didn't even know was in Middletown, a business. So it's that kind of stuff that we're using, and it's very, very valuable information, very valuable artifacts, and we're going to be displaying some of those. And then through all these dinners and town talks, people have been coming up to the committee or to me and saying, hey, I have this in my house. Would you like to display this? So we're going to have a lot of that as well. And so the community really is very interested in expressing its, pride in the town of Middletown and its history.
You bring up a very good point. I do a lot of travel around the county, and I meet a lot of people, of course, and they often talk about the things that they have in their closet and their attics, that are historic,
right?
For Frederick. And,
right.
It's great that they can bring them to a central location and share them with the community. Yeah,
this is something that we started to do with the 250th, is to have this kind of little mini museum. We actually have a gentleman, David Guiney, who used to work with the National Park Service, and he's helping us design it, and he does a fantastic job. He's working on the National Road Museum.
All right.
We had a gentleman who lived on Jefferson Street who he brought to us the old church bell from the old African American AME church. That, of course, hasn't existed for probably 100 years. And he had that in his attic, in his mother's house. And he brought that down. We had that on display last month, or earlier this month. And so that's the kind of excitement people have about the history and being able to share that.
So what else is going on up in Middletown? Do you have any new developments or economic development, new businesses moving in?
We do have some economic development and commercial development. We have a new commercial area called Crossstone Commons. It's across the street from our Safeway shopping center.
Sure.
And the CVS moved over there in a freestanding building. There are 4 pads on the site. And the newest one is site pad number 2. On that site is going to be Dunkin' Donuts. And when I talked to the 4th graders about the If I Were Mayor contest and announced that, they all cheered. So it's highly anticipated opening of Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts, yeah.
And a Mexican restaurant is going to go in there, and a nail salon. That's what we're doing.
Good, good. Well, we thank you again for coming on the show and telling us, what's going on up in Middletown.
Right.
Sounds like a lot of activity, and I'm so excited about the 250th year anniversary of your founding.
It is. We're hoping you and the county executive and the county council will come out and be a part of some of these events. We have a little park across the street we're going to dedicate to the town, and the town is going to give a gift to our residents with this little kind of sitting park in commemoration of the town. So it's very exciting.
Very good.
I'm glad to be a part of it.
Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Roger.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, that wraps up the show for this time. We look forward to seeing you all around town. Thanks.